and we are back here on the ship here on Fox Sports Radio, KLKC, 1540 AM, and I am with not only one of the greatest running backs that ever played for the Kansas City Chiefs, but someone I can call my friend, Mr. Tony Richardson. What's going on, man?
Not too much, man. It's great to run into you. Obviously, it's a pleasant surprise to be in Indianapolis and to run into my good friend down here covering the combine. So it's been a great week so far.
Man, so what have you been doing? Because when I saw you,
Yep.
it was like we were just glancing. We missed each other.
Two ships passing in the night.
Yeah,
yeah.
And I saw you with Warwick Dunn, but I thought you all were going to be out here in this area, but I know you all were on the inside. So what has been your role here?
So now what I'm doing post football, I work for what's called Legends Community. And so Legends Community, it's so basically what our main goal is. We obviously have a lot of goals, but the main goal is just to get our guys back connected with their current clubs, and then once they get connected back with their current clubs, to get them back under the NFL shield. So my two teams I work for are the Jets and the Giants, obviously, since I live in New York. And so Will Shields actually has the exact same position in Kansas City, so he works with the Chiefs. And our primary goal is basically just to get guys back connected and say, hey, you know what? You played in the NFL. If you played 1 year or more, regardless of how long you played, we consider you a legend, and we want to treat you like that. We want to honor you for putting on the pads, representing the shield, and then in doing so, once they get back under the NFL umbrella, back with their clubs, they sign themselves up. There's no cost to them, and then they get a chance to hear about, or they get a chance to learn about all the benefits and everything that's available to them. And so we try to help them out.
Is that something that's been very difficult? I mean, because like you said, you're there to sign people up that may have played 1 year or more. But I mean, are people really, when they leave the league, are they trying to not be a part of it or something?
Yeah,
anymore?
It's funny too, because it's a great question you asked that, because it was the same exact same as Auburn University actually reached out to me, and they said, it's kind of difficult to have guys to get them back connected and get them back, coming to Auburn and coming back to games in that nature. And I said, well, we experience the same thing in the NFL, and for whatever reason, for sometimes guys, they leave with a bad taste in their mouth. Maybe if they play 5 years, they maybe think they want to play. They could have played 10, or just different reasons. So a lot of guys, have or just kind of feel like the NFL hadn't been there to support them, and in their post career. And so what we're trying to do is get those guys and trying to dispel that myth. Is like, you know what, the NFL is here for you, the NFL and the NFLPA, because really. This is a program, ours is Legends Community, but the NFLPA has what's called a trust, and we work together and just making sure that it's not about who gets the credit, it's about helping our guys. And so, it is, I'm saying it's not a task, I think, $2,000 that we can't get it accomplished, but it is kind of difficult sometimes, because guys are like, well, what do they want from me? What do I have to offer? And I was like, really, the only thing you have to offer is yourself, and just be available. And, I'm doing this up in New York, and Woody Johnson, who, obviously the owns the New York Jets. We fly the guys in, them and their spouse, and we give them a first-class weekend, and just really get them back connected with their current club. So that's what we try to do.
So when you do that, are you basically, like with Will Shields, are you all bringing them back to the Chiefs ambassadors? Is that what you all are getting them to be a part of?
Yeah, so that's a little bit different, but actually it all kind of coincides, because I'm sure that because that's which actually is a great question, because a lot of teams in the National Football League don't have a Chiefs ambassadors. So a lot of teams never really had something that the retired players or the former players can connect back to. So being fortunate in Kansas City that they did have the ambassadors, and the ambassador did have such a strong presence. So Will's job, I'm not going to say his job is not difficult, but it's actually, they work side by side, because the Chiefs have done such a great job of reaching out to their former players. Well, now it's just as an extra step, an extra layer of assuring that anybody that's played for the Kansas City Chiefs 1 year or more, that they can always come back home, they always have a home, and they're going to be well taken care of. Where teams like the Jets, there was no such thing as a Jets ambassador club. Working with the Giants were kind of a model of what their former players' program looks like, and we're learning a lot from the Giants of how they've gone about doing it. They've been doing that for a long period of time. So it wasn't like we had to kind of come in and implement anything. If anything, we were like, can teach us what the things you guys have been doing, and we can start using some of those same things to get guys back involved, because that's the biggest thing, to think about the number of guys that play for Kansas City. It's just like reconnecting, finding, some guys go and, bury themselves after football. We try to get them back in and just let them know what's available to them.
We are here at the NFL Combine with the one and only former Chiefs, all-pro running back, my friend, Tony Richardson. Now, Tony, question: are you still doing your broadcasting?
Yeah, I do. That's one thing that's great living in New York City is the fact that I have access to a lot of the media outlets, and so I do stuff with Fox. I did Sean Hannity's show.
Really?
I've done Sean Hannity. I've done
I
Fox
got to pull
and
a
Friends.
videotape on that one.
Yeah. That was, it was actually, and I think it's great the fact that living in New York, and so anytime there's something that's dealing with the National Football League, a lot of the Fox producers that reach out to me and just see if I'm available for when I come on and talk about a subject. So when I did Hannity, we actually were talking about, unfortunately, the Ray Rice situation. Mm-hmm. But in the same sense, it was not necessarily a negative story, but it was something that we definitely had to address. But I think in addressing it, it opened the door to start that conversation, which is a conversation that should have been out there for a while, that domestic violence is not an NFL problem. It's a societal problem. It's something that's been going on for years. And as the NFL and as men, we definitely have to put our foot down and say that no longer are we going to accept that. And that's kind of where we, that's kind of some of the things we talked about when I was on the show. So I've done Fox and Friends. I did that piece after the movie Concussion came out and just kind of talked about my experience in the NFL and, concussions and things of that nature. And so currently, I'm working with Sports Illustrated, so SI Now, and great enough, I did during the Denver Broncos bye week. I actually had a chance to go out and do a piece with Von Miller. So if you go to sinow.com and type in Von Miller and Tony Richardson, we actually went out there and filmed a piece where after football, Von wants to be a chicken farmer. And so we went out and did that. It was actually pretty cool.
And just so our listeners know, a couple years ago, may have been 2 or 3 years ago, I had a radio show in Kansas City called Hot Topics.
Yep.
And Tony Richardson was kind enough to be my NFL expert on the show, and I greatly appreciate it. I didn't really talk to you till after the show went off or whatever, but I want to thank you now.
Oh, no problem.
For,
Thank you.
because you didn't have to do it, and I'm definitely appreciative of it. I want to ask you about, like now I saw with your NFL community, your Legends community, you all met up with Jim Brown for his 80th birthday.
Yeah.
What was that like, man?
Yeah, that was great. Well, that wasn't actually his the picture that I posted wasn't actually for his birthday. That was actually at the Hall of Fame last year. And the thing about it, which is great, because now in every NFL city or every NFL sanctioned event, there's always going to be a Legends Lounge. And so that Legends Lounge was actually set up to all the guys who were going into the Hall of Fame, already in the Hall of Fame. And so as a Legends community, Jim Brown walks in and he should be the poster man for what a legend is all about. Doing it well on the field, off the field, in every area of his life. And so we took a great picture with him and just got a chance to sit down and talk to Mr. Brown about, just everything that he went through obviously as a running back and playing in that era and playing in that age. And so that was the picture that we posted to wish him a happy birthday. But that's what Legends Lounge is all about, because there's guys obviously that that played before me that I can learn from. And so anytime we get a chance, and we have a Legends Lounge set up down here at the JW, and any current player or former player are welcome to come in. And all of a sudden you look around, you see, like I saw Lynn Dawson's at our Legends Lounge at the Super Bowl. You look up, you see coaches obviously included as well. And so it's been a great great fraternity, great community, and really to get the guys back involved.
Has the league ever thought about, or has the league ever invited you to come in and speak to the prospects and the rookies, whether it's at the combine or the rookie symposium?
Well, that's what we're here for now. So currently we're down here. So now Warwick Dunn went back to Atlanta. He had another commitment. But so last year was the first year that we actually did this, and it was myself, and we had Amon Green, former Green Bay Packer, and so we got a chance before they got started, and spent about 30-45 minutes of just kind of like things to expect coming into this week, the combine. Things to expect as the draft comes around, things that you got to experience as a rookie. So we kind of got a chance to talk to him about a lot of different things, and that's exactly what we're doing here this year. So I just had lunch with, I just had dinner. I'm sorry, 6 o'clock. Just had dinner with, a lot of the running backs, and just spending time with them, and just want to be a resource for them, because there's so many people, especially at the combine, that's pulling on them for interviews or pulling on them for physicals, or obviously today was their bench press test, which a lot of those guys did extremely well. Tomorrow was actually the brunt of the work with the 40-yard dash, the vertical, ball catching drills, and all those things. So we want to be, let them know that, we are, working for the NFL, but we're more sort of former players that have been through what you're going through, and we just want to be a resource to you.
What do you remember, before I let you go, what do you remember about your experience doing the combine?
It's interesting enough, I'm glad you asked that question, because Max knowing myself. Now, Warwick Dunn actually was invited to the combine. I didn't even participate in the combine, which is a great story to tell these guys because, sometimes, because the thing about it is like all the running backs down here, I think there's 32. 32 running backs are not going to get drafted. If it worked out and all 32 got drafted, that's great. But there's going to be some guys that obviously they got invited to the combine. It may not work out for them from a standpoint of them getting drafted, but then they can look up and say, hey, here's a guy named Tony Richardson, didn't get drafted, didn't go to the combine, played 17 years in the National Football League. You know what? So it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. And so that's the message we give the guys now. It's like, you know what? If you don't run the fastest 40 time tomorrow, you know what? It's okay. You know what? You still have another opportunity in your day. And if for whatever reason, if you don't get drafted, you know what? Things can still work out for you. And that's the message we try to tell the guys now.
Now, how can people reach you on social media?
Social media is my email address. Not my email address. I was going to give them my email. Yeah, my email is on phone number. No. So my Twitter account is at 49trich. So at 49trich. My Instagram is Tony TonyRichNY is my Instagram. And what else do I have? I guess that's it. And Facebook is just Tony Richardson. Yeah.
Tony, I appreciate you, man. You already know. I appreciate you. You already know how I feel about you, man. I appreciate you. Appreciate your time. I know logistically what we were doing to make this happen.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you for joining us here on the ship. And, wish you nothing but the best. And we'll talk post the show. So thank you all for tuning into the ship here from the NFL Combine in Indianapolis, Indiana. We'll see you next week here on the ship. Fox Sports Radio's 1540 KLKC.
Keep it locked in to the ship with Darren Smith, exclusively on Fox Sports Radio Sports AG Talk, 1540 AM KLKC.